What's going on, guys? I'm out here today, as you can see behind me, on the river doing a little bow fishing. My technique that I'm using to do this can be a little bit hit and miss. Basically, what I'm doing, if you look here underneath of me, this is a beaver dam. I got the canoe parked right here. I find these either log piles or beaver dams, and usually there's a pool around them of deeper water. And I mean, fish in general, but carp and gar and stuff like that, the things that I'm actually targeting, they seem to like the cooler, deeper pools like this. They seem to kind of congregate around here, like between the channel, which is the side of the river that I'm on, and the shallow side, or I guess you'd call it the outside, across the river. They're either going to be in the middle of the river or they're going to be on my side. There's really no in between. Today might be a little bit hit and miss, simply for the fact that it's overcast and a little bit breezy, but I'm hoping for them to come right in this pool right underneath me is where I've been shooting them at, or in places like this where it's shallow up against the bank and I can actually see them. And what I'm looking for is the carp. They will kind of swim along, and as they find green leaves on the water, which is what they're primarily eating, you just see them skimming around with their mouths open. And they stay relatively close to the surface, so even without great sunlight on my side, as close as they usually swim to the surface and are feeding around on top, they're easy to see and get a shot at. So it can be kind of feast or famine, but it's been working pretty good for me here lately. And less than ideal conditions, but gonna give it a try anyways. It's not nice of a day to be inside, so I'm gonna see what can shake out, and if I get anything, I'll turn the camera on and show you. And if not, I'll just kind of get some B-roll to kind of show you what's going on and tell you a little bit more about how I do this and how I go about bow fishing. Like a muskrat swimming across the river right there. There he is. Quick note, if you're trying to shoot gar specifically, as you can see, like I mentioned a minute ago, this is a pool, the deeper part of the river. This is the channel, that's the outside over there. This is all deep pool around here, and with this big root wad underneath here from this beaver dam, the gar being predator fish, a lot of game fish, small fry and stuff like that, will hang around all this debris, and you'll really see the gar working around stuff like this and like that big blowdown up there, looking for those small fish to feed on and stuff like that. And you'll just see them suspended. You'll come up on top of here, you'll look down, as long as you don't spook them off, and you'll see the long-nosed, short-nosed gar just suspended in the water, probably not far below the surface if you were able to get a shot at them. So while I'm waiting to see something feeding around, I guess I'll tell you about my setup. What this is an old Mohawk reel. This is probably 40, 50 years old, I would say. This is an old aluminum reel, and literally just meant to be taped onto your bow. This is the way my grandpa always did it, so it's kind of the way that I do it. This is just a good old AMS standard bow fishing arrow with their I like their tip design, the way the barb works. You just kind of unscrew the tip, and the barb doesn't come off, it just flips around, so you can shake the fish back off again, and then just tighten the trocar tip back down. But this bow is about 40 pounds. This is an old homemade bow that I restored, that came from somewhere, I'm not real sure, but it doesn't tune worth a darn. It's impossible to get rid of the knock high out of this bow, so unfortunately this is pretty well all it's good for. But whoever made it did a good job, so I hate to just leave it hanging up on the wall. So another quick tip I wanted to mention about these tips, these trocar style tips like this, check them every once in a while if you're using them a lot, to make sure they still have a good sharp point on them. Because what happened to me yesterday, I ended up only shooting one nice carp, but I hit 2 or 3 others and it didn't penetrate. One of them came back with a big old fat scale stuck to my arrow where it smoked the scale, and the fish just swam away. You know, partially scathed, but not hurt by any means. And all that was because my point was dulled up. So check them before you go, and give them a quick lick with a file to put a point back on them. And also keep some spares. You can just buy extras and keep them in a Ziploc bag in your pocket or something like that, or in the canoe, and keep those handy, because you don't want to get all the way out here like I did and have a dull point and not get good penetration on those heavy scales and on those fish. So just a quick tip for you. Had to do a different spot. There's another big beaver dam, or a big debris pile down here, about 100 yards, and a bunch of stagnant mossy water just past it. Good spot for them to be feeding at. There's nothing feeding over here, so no sense in flogging a dead horse. Gonna head on down to this pile and see what happens. The last technique I want to tell you about, especially on a river like this that's not overly deep right now. It's probably 5 or 6 foot at its deepest spots, you know, within reason, but is just standing right out here in the middle of the river, and where you're at a eye level that you can see them swimming out here in the water right in front of you or behind you or whatever, where you can, you know, turn and take a shot or shoot out in front of you or something like that. Because a lot of times when they're cruising up and down the river like they are today, and I've got a couple shots off, but I've not been seeing a whole lot. You might just have to get right here where they're basically gonna have to swim at you, and you can get shots right around the boat or right around the canoe if you're doing this in the daylight. There's completely different ways of doing this at night, you know, with lights and stuff like that, but doing it in daylight like this is a challenge, and there's only really a couple ways that you can do it. But anyway, still pretty slow. Like I said, only taking 2 shots and really haven't seen but a few feeding, so might not be out here much longer today, but we'll see. Well, as is common in fishing adventures, today I was skunked. But the reason that I like bow fishing so much is, rather than being fishing at all, it's more like hunting. Nothing is guaranteed. You can put in the time and work. Try to find the critter that you're after, whether it's got fur or fins, and it doesn't always work out. And even when it does, you have to capitalize on your opportunity and hope you hit what you're aiming at. But all the same, I'm glad that I got out, and bow fishing is a great way to soak up some of that long off-season time waiting for summer to get over and the arrival of fall. But for now, that's it for this adventure. Thanks for watching the channel. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, Get out, guys, shoot straight, maybe do some bow fishing, and I'll catch you next time.